done. We'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. I think I said this the last time we spoke. We got a lot of picks here, and we're happy to use those picks in the draft. But I think for us, the early part of the season, September, we got to see what we have, and if we need something, I'll do whatever I can to help this football team and be aggressive, and Jeffrey gives me that opportunity to do that. And so, I don't think that we're done. I don't think this is necessarily, this is a work in progress.
Not giving me the keys quite yet.
Yeah, not yet, not yet. No, he's going to drive. He's going to drive, but we're going to continue sitting together.
There we go. How about that? What's up, everybody? How we doing? A little Tuesday night hangout with Howie Roseman saying he's not done, which he's never done. But, saying that with the press conference, then the excitement becomes what else with the 53-man roster officially taking place right now? How long will that actually be the 53-man roster versus other moves and everything else? But the Ant-Man's here, as always. How you doing?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing good. I'm excited that we had this initial 53-man roster, but like Howie Roseman said, he's not done. Job's not done. He's always looking to make changes, and obviously they got the waiver wire coming up and potential other trades, even veteran free agent signings. So it's going to be fun to see how this roster changes just over this next week before week 1.
Lots of stuff in the works, plenty of moves. And kudos to you, sir, for calling the Fred Johnson. I think it's the first time that we've actually hopped on to record post that time. But for people that saw either the last video or actually 2 videos ago with you actually saying it, I played it in both. But, never a bad thing there. Calling that move.
I mean, it was nice to hit on that, but I feel like if you throw enough darts at the board, something's eventually going to stick. So that one went through for me, but we don't have to bring up things like my 0.0% chance of Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles or other things like that. So we'll just forget those.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll just focus on the Fred Johnson trade.
There you go. That works. I was going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, there's some people that are bringing things up now, as well as, any new additions, which we'll get into everything else. Shout out to everybody in the chat. As always, drop a like if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed. Got some crazy giveaways on this stream. We got the tickets, 2 tickets to any Eagles game of your choice. I don't know why you would necessarily pick something different than the opener, but maybe schedule doesn't work. But it's up to you. You pick whatever tickets you want. If you win them, get a spin for that later on the stream. Also have Zach Bond's signed rookie card, courtesy of the Ant-Man himself. So Anthony's got a vast array of a collection of cards, and there you go. You see that? That's it. Anthony will ship it out to you. Somebody's going to take that home. Good luck, everybody. And it's not possible without all of our sponsors, of course. But I should mention, it is official. They are back. We are back, however we would say that. But Underdog, one of the official sponsors, season-long sponsor this season. So thanks to them. Shout out. Scan the QR code. Use code Philly Special. Get if you play $5, you get up to $50, or you do get $50 in bonus bets and other cool stuff. Also, if you didn't get in on the Fantasy Football League, we still have a different option for you. It's Underdog Best Ball Drafts, so you can play that. And good news for people in Philly, it is possible for you to play this. You can't do the Pick'em games, unfortunately, yet with Underdog, but you can do the Best Ball Draft. So there's a link in the description. There's a $10 league and a $25 league. You can check it out in the description. I think there's like 2 openings left, 2 or 3, but feel free. Link's down there. So appreciate them. Lots of giveaways, like I mentioned. Matt was asking here, how old? Oh, wife was asking, how old am I? It's my Reed Blankenship year. Actually, it's exactly 1 month, I suppose. It's in September 26th. It'll change, but I'm in my Reed Blankenship year. We're about to transition to my Cooper DeJean year, and the same thing for Anthony.
Yeah, I prefer to call it my Chris Polk year for anybody that remembers him from back in the day.
All right,
I believe he wore 32. I'm just messing around. I love obscure jersey numbers. Everybody should know that by now. But,
yes.
I'll turn 33 in December, so a little bit younger than Josh, but same age.
You got a little time. You get a little time there.
I don't have any hair on my head, but hey, I'll take the 3 months.
I won't judge if you want your Christian Polk, then like you take that. I'll go with the Cooper DeJean, but you can have that absolutely. Appreciate everybody seeing lots of comments there. I was out over the weekend, so it is nice getting back. But We could really start wherever. I suppose the 53-man roster dropped a short a second ago to try to keep people updated. Let me see if I can make this work properly here because we're still figuring this thing out. But I think I can get this to all fit in the screen for people curious. 53-man roster, what that is looking like. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. We can see this. Now this is beautiful right here. And again, Anthony deserves all the credit in the world because if you haven't checked it out, lots of you have, but thephillyspecialshow.com, and made this beautiful graphic for you. So it's much easier to figure out who's where, 53-man roster, positions, depth chart, everything on that side. I mean, I guess what you just want to run down it. I didn't have a specific idea in mind. We could just run through the depth chart, any notable moves or non-moves, anything like that.
Sure. I mean, it was kind of caught me by surprise because first of all, they didn't release it at 4 o'clock, right? So that already made me kind of antsy. I'm like, oh, are they making any other trades? Like, what's going
Yep.
on? And so nothing ended up coming out of that, but there were some interesting moves. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to go by position or biggest surprises. It's completely up to you.
Okay. I mean, the chart is by position, so I'm kind of OCD that way. So maybe we just stick with quarterback. So Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, Sam Howell. Not major surprises after that move for Sam Howell, but we haven't gotten to speak, I guess, on the stream since the Kyle McCord waiving news and Sam Howell trade. It doesn't. It seems almost impossible that Kyle McCord's going to be able to like practice squad with the Eagles, right?
I mean, I thought so at first, but it felt like quite a few quarterbacks were released that are going to hit waivers, even like veteran guys like Taylor Heineke. It's going to depend on what other teams are looking for, like if they're in need of a proven veteran kind of backup, or if they're willing to kind of use a roster spot on a developmental guy. But there are other guys that were waived that are kind of intriguing, like Hendon Hooker, Jake Hayner, Tommy DeVito. So some of those guys, because they were also waived, maybe they'll get priority because they have played, obviously, and then Kyle McCord hasn't. But at the same time, he does have those 4 full years of team control on a rookie contract. So if a team liked him during the pre-draft process and didn't get a chance to get him because the Eagles took him, now would be their chance to kind of claim him. So I'm still leaning towards him being claimed by another team just because the quarterback picture around the NFL is so bad for some of these teams where, I mean, look at the Saints or the Steelers or other teams like that. Like it's kind of in rough shape, especially moving forward kind of 2-3 years. So I think another team is probably going to claim him. But if he does return and kind of clears waivers, I definitely think they would try and bring him back on the practice squad.
And speaking of the quarterback situation there, our friend Kenny Pickett is no longer in Cleveland. Can you imagine that? You get traded from the Eagles to Cleveland, and then before the season even starts, you're traded to Las Vegas. Maybe is that an up? I'm trying to think. Is that an upgrade or is that not an upgrade? I think it is.
I mean, I think I got a brother that lives in Nevada, and I visited him one time, and I thought it was really, really nice out there. So I think it would be
Sure.
an upgrade. I mean, I've never been to Cleveland, but
As far
I
as the
think
team goes, though, like
yeah,
is
I
that
mean, the team is better. I think the city's better. The stadium's obviously better. So
well, yeah, that's
I'd
again, yeah.
probably be leaning towards going to Nevada. And I mean, it's kind of funny to see Kenny Pickett kind of just get tossed around the NFL, where it's been however many trades now, however many teams now in the last calendar year. It's kind of rough to see. A lot of moving for him, I guess, and his family. But hey, that's life in the NFL, right?
That it is. I do feel like as we're with the Eagles necessarily, Sam Howell. I want to say that it wasn't too long after. I'm trying to think now. Was it? I'm pretty sure. I could be misremembering, but I feel like it wasn't too long after the second game against the Commanders where Sam Howell, because in both games in 2023 he played really well, but the second game against the Commanders, I want to say that we started recording, like one of our first ever recordings was very close around that time period. I could be misremembering that, but it was sometimes toward the latter portion of that season, if I'm not mistaken. It's not a bad for a QB3. The hope is that he never plays. We don't want to see him, right? But if you had to, then it's more proven. Like we say, from what we saw from Kyle McCord and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I did get a kick out of Jordan Schultz, I believe was the first one to break the news. And you can always tell whenever the agents are feeding the information to say McCord being waived after a good training camp in Philadelphia. And then you had a couple beat writers going like, yeah, I don't know if Goods might be a stretch. Might be a stretch to say he had a good training camp. He had a training camp. Was it good? Yes. Leave that up for debate. But how, I mean, hey, not a bad QB3.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a significant upgrade. But I think the most notable thing is that Howie Roseman said at his press conference today that they were going to make that trade regardless of Tanner McKee's finger
Mm-hmm.
injury, which I thought was really interesting because obviously from the outside looking in, we all watched those preseason games and we saw that Dorian Thompson-Robinson obviously wasn't the answer. Kyle McCord really didn't show enough consistency or even promise to warrant kind of keeping around on that 53-man roster. So it seemed like something was going to be done, but then once the Tanner McKee injury happened, it was like, oh wait, maybe they will keep somebody around that has been with the team throughout training camp just for the sake of familiarity, and then following final cuts or via trade, obviously, which is what they ended up doing, they would add somebody else. But now it seems like it didn't matter if Tanner McKee hurt his finger or not; they were going to add somebody, and I think Sam Howell is he like you said, he looked really good against the Eagles. He's shown promise in other times during his career. Obviously, not ideally who you wouldn't want to be playing if Jalen Hurts and Tanner McKee somehow went down. But I think you could do a lot worse as your quarterback 3 than Sam Howell.
That is certainly true. Yeah, a lot worse. By the way, people in the chat, I set up Anthony for that question. I didn't say it correctly. Fanny's saying lay off Ohio. Some other people there between the Cleveland and Vegas. I was mainly asking for the team, so I didn't clarify that. But yeah, now we got some
That's my fault.
some hot takes on whether it's Cleveland or
I have family in
or
Ohio
Vegas,
too,
but-
if that helps. I just haven't visited them.
Okay, well, hey, see, now you got a great chance, an opportunity here. For running backs, moving on, running back position, Saquon Barkley, no surprise. Will Shipley, no surprise. A.J. Dillon, I feel like not really a surprise either. A few people were like, oh, maybe he makes the roster, maybe he doesn't. I don't think there's a surprise there. As my man Anthony Giovanelli says, you can't have too many AJs. I'll take that. Maybe we lump in Ben Van Sumeren with the fullback running back situation, but overall, I like it.
Yeah, no surprises there to me. I mean, it felt like regarding the AJ Dillon situation, I feel like we both said all along that as long as he was healthy, we thought he was going to be the third running back, and if he showed promise, which he did, and I felt like that one practice that we did attend, I thought he looked really good and had some juice as a receiver and as a runner, obviously. So it's not surprising to see him stick around. The one thing that I did see a couple beat writers mention was because he is a vested veteran, was there a chance that they would just cut him, either sign him to the practice squad or just let him sit, keep another younger player for a week or two so you don't have to expose them to waivers and then bring him back. But obviously the Eagles elected to keep him on the 53-man roster, and not a surprise to me at all.
There you go. I'm excited for Ben Van Sumeren. I know, again, that was not really a surprise, but if there's any instance to be able to talk about Ben Van Sumeren, it's just there's something about having a fullback role. Jeffrey Lurie talked about, like, hey, we want to revitalize that spot, bring it back. I got a few comments of like, hey, maybe he's, would he make the roster? Some people are like, hey, I haven't heard much about him, but it's like, look, what he brings to the special teams is probably more valuable than it is for the fullback position. Yet I still can't wait, like just a couple runs, maybe some screen or some little dump off passes to him. He got a couple of those in the flats at training camp. I don't know if that's the first and foremost sign of the offense, but if you have to throw it his way, and the fact that he actually had, I think it was only one, I don't believe it was multiple, but at least one kick return. And I was like, all right, hey, I've Ben Van Sumeren back there for kick returns.
Yeah, so I think, like you said, the special teams value is really what kind of made him make the roster, and then whatever he can provide as a fullback is just kind of extra. But I also do think the fact that he can legitimately step in at linebacker in case of emergency, obviously if everybody else goes down, but the fact that they did go relatively light at linebacker with just 4 guys, if they do have 2 players go down with an injury or something like that during a game, they can say, hey, Ben, just step in. He's familiar with the team, obviously, on both sides of the ball. So just the fact that they kind of have that up their sleeve, in case of emergency, they can kind of break that glass and go to him at linebacker if they needed to as well.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. Only break in case of emergency. That would be a severe emergency if we had that. But it is. You got the versatility. So let's see. I'll get to the super chat here real quickly before we continue on with some of these. I think that's a lot larger for the super chat than appreciate the 5, by the way, Devin. For some reason it was like halfway off the screen. Hold on. I'm getting it back to where we can see it properly. There we go. I think that's better. That works. Thank you again for the 5 bomb. Let's go. It says, what happened with long snapper? Did Charlie not make it? We're going to get there eventually, but we'll go ahead and skip ahead to Charlie. The Eagles, if you didn't catch it, the Eagles did not keep a long snapper on the 53-man roster, in that being Charlie Hewlett. It's notable because you don't have a long snapper on the active roster. Now, if he's on the practice squad, he has the 3 elevations. There's some other ways that they can get around this. It's not super alarming. But I just think back to like last year, and we all know this, the kicking game, the operation was not the smoothest. It was not the most consistent. I don't know that you're necessarily going to have a team go out there and be like, oh, yeah, we're going to sign Charlie Hewlett, right? But he is a veteran. He's done it for a while. He can't be the worst, at least in my opinion. He can't be the worst option out there. So, interesting move. There's a lot of names that, eventually I'm sure we'll mention and cover, and everybody else. You can only keep so many. So it was just probably weighing the pros and cons and like, yeah, you know what? If worst case scenario happens, we're still fine. They just wanted to hold on to every offensive lineman on the roster.
Yeah, so we'll get into it, but obviously they went heavy there. But I think it was similar to kind of the AJ Dillon scenario that I mentioned just a couple minutes ago. It's just he is a vested veteran, so they can just release him and then bring him back on the practice squad. They don't have to expose him to waivers or risk losing him. So I'm sure it was just an agreement between the two, like, hey, we're going to have you on the practice squad for these first couple weeks. Don't worry, we'll give you the regular pay or whatever it is. Like, there's ways around it, like you mentioned, with like in terms of financial obligations. So they're going to keep him on the practice squad. I would assume it allows them to not have to expose other guys, like say a Cameron Williams or a Trevor Keegan, these other younger guys that they might have wanted to hang on to and not expose to waivers. So now you just let go of your long snapper, bring him back, obviously elevate him for the first couple of games, then eventually sign him back. You're kind of kicking the can down the road a bit, where maybe in week 4 you'll be able to sneak through one of these guys through waivers, whereas now when every team is looking at the waiver wire and kind of looking for these bodies that they can bring in before the start of the regular season, it's a little bit different. Once you're kind of in the middle of the season and teams are dealing with whatever they're dealing with, and they might have an injury that they need to add somebody elsewhere. Now they can't afford to add an offensive lineman in this case or whatever. So I just think that's kind of the mechanism that they went with and the reason behind doing it. And they've also done it in the past with other players, which is why I think you saw so many beat writers kind of use the AJ Dillon kind of move, or Patrick Johnson, where you can, instead of keeping him on the 53-man roster, you could release him, put him on the practice squad, and just kind of keep him around that way. So with those vested veterans, that's always kind of something to keep in mind with these final cuts.
For sure, yes. And I think that's the big important part, obviously, with the vested veterans, like you talk about. It's the forgotten nuances, the creativity that Howie has of roster management. Shout out to Corey, also, by the way, member for 8 months, saying this is not the final roster, as we all know. I don't know if that's like a hashtag Howie or just saying like a Howie with an exclamation mark, but yes. Howie Roseman, this is not the final roster, like he even said, really. But Fanny also said earlier, I'll never understand the attachment to Toth, shaking my head, so we're bouncing around to just about everywhere, but we appreciate that. There was also a super chat that I missed for a second. Marcus with the 5, appreciate that. Marcus says, can the cornerback we have, or maybe, I don't know if this is meant to be like multiple, can the cornerbacks we have hold up? That is the question. It's a good question. Can they hold up?
I mean, it's a funny kind of conversation to think about, right? To me, and I was listening to the PHLY show earlier today, and Fran Duffy and Bo Wolf were talking about the cornerback room as a whole and like where you would rank it in the league and how many teams would take Philadelphia's situation over theirs. And they said that a lot of Eagles fans are complaining about like CB2 and if it's Adoree Jackson, Jacorian Bennett, whoever's going to be there. But there are probably only like 5 or 6 teams in the NFL that probably have a better cornerback situation than the Eagles because of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Those are 2 potential all-pro caliber players, right? So I feel like it's almost like a first world problem, champagne problem, whatever you want to call it, where we're complaining about who this second cornerback is. And I wrote an article for the PhillySpecialShow.com on Adoree Jackson and why I think he's a more than capable player to kind of fit that role until maybe a Jacorian Bennett or Kelee Ringo or Mac McWilliams, whoever comes along and maybe a couple weeks into the season, they're the starter. So I think it's a little bit overblown, and I think they'll be just fine at corner.
By the way, if you want to check out that article, shameless plug, but it is in the description. Go to articles referenced. You can check out all of Anthony's great content. And if you have been following Anthony, you could see it there on the screen, but at DeBona NFL, you already have all this info, all these tweets, insider information, predictions, like you said with Fred Johnson, maybe others. You called out Julius Brents as a maybe. Granted, he's getting waived, so I don't know necessarily that he can make it all the way to Philadelphia, but talked about him in the last video after you had brought his name up. So let's just say it just pays to follow Anthony. There's some people that have a thought, a little conspiracy maybe that you're inside the Eagles building somehow with
I
some of
can
these
assure you that I am
predictions
not.
here.
I
But
wish I was, but I am not, unfortunately.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Did people recognize Anthony whenever we were at training camp? They say, "Oh, Mr. DeBona, here's your office." I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe
okay.
so. Howie
It's
would like to
just
see you upstairs.
I think it's just years and years of obsessing over a team and seeing how they function and what they look for and things like that. So maybe my wife and kids aren't too happy with the amount of time that I spend invested in all of this stuff, but listen, it's for everybody else here. This is for all of you guys.
Well, we could say it's very much appreciated. I speak for everyone, but it is very much appreciated, and all of the it's insane. Some of the predictions, call outs, who's like the relationships, because you pointed out as well, like, oh, so and so was coached by Christian Parker or Vic Fangio, relationship here or even at the draft, and I forgot now. Was it? Oh shoot, who was it? There was there a corner that you tweeted out recently? Because there's so many of them now, so I can't even remember. A corner maybe that was a 2023 top 30 visit.
Well, Julius Brents was. He was
Okay, then that's who it was.
top
Okay,
of
yeah, I
the
was gonna
visit,
say
and
there was
then
one of those that I was putting together.
yeah,
Okay, so
there's
yeah, we were just mentioning him. So see, it's just stuff like that that like automatic. If you want to know, even if you don't want to know, you just kind of get a little extra information. Okay, hey, all right,
exactly.
I
Usually
didn't
it's
put
too
those
much,
together.
right?
I didn't put those together, but that's great. All right, other super chat here. Hero with a 5 bomb. Let's go. Says I wasn't sure if Saquon would make the team. Glad to see he pulled. Okay, all right, cool, gotcha. Couldn't see the sarcasm early on. Okay, I got it. I got it. He struggled last year with only 2,000 yards, but the Eagles figured they would barely keep him around. Just eking out the spot. It is exciting because we're like what, a little bit more than a week away from seeing Saquon in action.
Right around the corner, baby.
Can't get here soon enough. I could feel the anxiety building. I thought about this today. I was like watching some of the highlights and watching some like hype footage, and then all of a sudden, you kind of get that heart rate raising a little bit, and you're like, okay, we're almost there. We're just about to get there. Season opener. Super Bowl banner is up. It's covered, but it's up right now. It's ready to be
Well,
unveiled.
just real quick on that. Did you see? I think it was Crossing Broad put out a picture where it was like just wrapped in like orange tape, but you could basically see like half of the banner. And now
I
since
did
then,
see.
I think John Clark put out like an updated picture where it's actually covered and you can't really see it. So
Yes, yeah, I did. I
that was
did see
pretty
that.
funny that it was just like that was probably how it was shipped or something, where it was just wrapped in this orange tape and it's just like falling off. It's like one of the Amazon packages I would bring in my house where it's like falling apart. But
That's true. It was a
we'll see
very
it soon enough.
yes, you're right. It was a very, very weak attempt at concealing it at first, and then I know the tweet that you're talking about from John Clark, and I was like, all right, that's maybe
That's better.
a little bit better. We don't actually know, even though everyone knows what it is, but we just can't see it. Tranquility, welcome to Let's Run It membership. There you go. Congratulations, got in on that. Let's see. Actually, speaking of, do we have another super chat here? Because I think I maybe missed one as well. Oh, Jamarcus, I got you. Hold up. Here we go. With another 5 bomb. Could Vic Fangio possibly squeeze anything out of Isaiah Simmons? We've talked about him a couple different times. We talked about him earlier this offseason. If there's anybody to potentially, get something out, use the versatility, maybe, but it feels so far gone at this point. Like if they were going to have done anything, it would have happened by now. But I guess to answer the specific question, could Vic Fangio possibly do it? I mean, if anybody could, it's got to be Fangio.
I mean, if the guy that literally took Zach Bond from a little used edge rusher to an all-pro linebacker, I feel like he would be the one to kind of unlock whatever Isaiah Simmons can be. But like you mentioned, at this point, they've had a couple chances to kind of get him, and he's not a vested. I mean, he is a vested veteran, so he's not going to go on waivers. So there is the possibility of maybe like a practice squad or something like that. But usually, at this time of the year, I know it's kind of boring to talk about, but I think it was something like 20 players total were claimed last year on waivers. So you'll see a lot of players just revert back to the team that they were on and sign with the practice squad because they want that continuity. They feel comfortable because of training camp and preseason. Sometimes you'll see a few names here and there change kind of hands in different teams, but Isaiah Simmons, I just think he feels like he's always had that potential. Like he could play all these different positions. He's so big, he's so athletic, but you just don't really know where to put him. So it's almost like a gift and a curse. And I just feel like the Eagles are in such a good position as far as like their linebacker room as a whole, maybe you could bring him in as an edge and kind of keep him on the practice squad or something like that. But I think they probably like the option that they have right now.
Not a bad spot where they're at. Let's just say that lots of depth. Nakobe Dean probably back week 5, at least according to his Instagram story, which is nice. We'll see if that actually officially happens, but seeing him post that was pretty cool. Let's see, there was another comment that I was possibly, or did I already get to it? Let me double check. I think I did. Yeah. Okay. We did. I'm just making sure. Wide receivers. I think we stopped at running back, fullback, and then bounced around a little bit. But wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, no surprises. John Mechie, no surprise. Trade for him. Weren't going to cut him. Darius Cooper. Not really a surprise. Kind of, to some. But he was clearly the best receiver for that. Yet there was a little bit of speculation, undrafted free agent. Do they keep him? Is it Anaya Smith? Probably not any of the others, but, who goes, who stays. Obviously, it is Anaya Smith who they part with. And Darius Cooper, I mean, you talk about a crazy story. We talked about him way back right after the draft. He was in the thumbnail with Max and Hook. We're like, all right, there's some intriguing guys here. Maybe they make the roster. Keep an eye out for him. I'm telling you what, if Darius Cooper, he's probably not going to get too many reps. Maybe I'm wrong, but probably not too many if the roster's healthy. But if you need him to play and you have some injuries, we've obviously seen more than enough. He's got the connection with Jalen Hurts. Not a bad option if we're, calling him quote unquote wide receiver 5 on the roster.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I think he's wide receiver 4 right now. I think he's impressed everybody. I feel like the fact that you talked about how he sat out those developmental periods that Brandon Lee Gowton had mentioned, where it seems like he's almost ahead of the other guys like John Mechie and obviously ahead of Anaya Smith because he was let go, of course, by the team. And I mean, it seems like he's trending in that direction, right? I mean, we'll see what happens. Who's going to be? I don't know if they're going to keep both him and John Mechie active on game day. I think they'll probably just go with 4 active receivers, but it will be interesting to see if it's Cooper or Mechie, if they do only go with one of them. Because, like you mentioned, he was playing all over on special teams, on all the coverage units, the return units. Like they were clearly showing interest in the different roles that he can play. So I'm really intrigued to see where he's used, when he's used, how many games he plays. But another really cool undrafted story for the Eagles.
This is a good question, actually, sticking with Cooper. By the way, George with a 50 bomb. I don't see a comment, George. If you want to say anything, if you want to say anything on here, let me know. You do not have to super chat back again. Just if you comment it back again in the comment section, I'll keep an eye out for you. There's a follow up. Okay, says just enjoying the show. Keep up the great work, man. We appreciate that so much. Thank you. We appreciate all you guys. But a 50 bomb. Let's go. You could tell that the vibes are right. Everybody's getting ready for the season. How about that? Appreciate that. Joe also saying here, did Cooper see? This is a good question for you here. As the president of the Look Good, Play Good Association, did Cooper get a new number? I don't think they've released anything as far as I've seen, right? But just to officially confirm, Darius Cooper, we have not seen a number change yet.
Nothing yet. And we probably won't see that until after waiver claims go through closer to week 1. But yes, I'm definitely looking forward to Darius Cooper and Jacorian Bennett hopefully getting some new jersey numbers because they both desperately need some.
You don't like the idea of the 41?
No, I think that's terrible.
That's guaranteed he's not going to see the field.
49 on Jacorian Bennett might honestly be even worse. It's just not a great look. I'm double checking. I'm on my phone double checking just to make sure there were no jersey number changes. But
okay, all right, yeah.
Yes, I don't see any. So
if you could pick to put you even further on the spot though, out of the numbers available, do you have an idea for I guess either of those guys? But to start out with Darius Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking for entirely too long about this, and I think,
of course, you have
number 18, which was worn by Avery Williams.
Okay,
would fit him very well. I feel like Darius Cooper's body style kind of reminds me of Jeremy Maclin in a way. He's a little bit like a bulkier receiver. I think the 18 would look good on him, and I guess I'll wait for the Jacorian Bennett pick because I have a good number in mind for him as well.
Okay, I like that. That's 18. Someone was saying Cooper should have 19. And Bennett should have 23.
I'll just say it now. Bennett, that was my pick for Bennett, 23. Okay. But I don't know. I think 19 just gives me I mean, Amari Cooper vibes, right? That's good. Like Amari Cooper wore that and had success. Also
Yeah,
Cooper.
yeah.
But then at the same time, 19 in Philly, just like JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Golden Tate. Like, do you want to really link him to those wide receivers? I don't know.
Yeah, now that
I
you
think
say that
18
now, I
might
think,
be.
yeah,
But then
18.
18, you also have like Dorial Green Beckham, right? So I don't know.
Oh, but why are you throwing those out there? I had just the image of Macklin.
I'm just
Now we got both of those.
Sorry. I'll shut up now.
I went from like positivity to did some, well, maybe not actually. So, okay, yeah. We got arguments on both sides now, so I'm not sure that I'm completely sold. Yeah, people are like, oh, see, look at that. Yes, the mention of Josh Sweat as well. James, what's up? It's my birthday on Thursday. The big 28 going bar hopping downtown Cincinnati will be trashed out. Go Birds. Well, drink responsibly-ish. Make sure to have
We'll
a
ship the
designated
year,
driver.
baby.
Have a good time. Not too good, but have a good time. Happy early birthday. It seems like I was going to say at first, it seems like there's a majority saying 18 for Cooper, but it feels like there's a lot of 19s as well.
I think it's got to be
kind of
18.
splitting it
We'll
now.
see.
Mm-hmm.
Watch him go 86 or 87 or so. I think that, I know that sounds, I know like old school wide receivers wear 80, right? Like that's like how it used to be. But now I'm a fan of like single digits and teens on wide skill position players.
I probably agree with you, quite honestly. It feels right in this day and age for a receiver. I'll take the teens. I mean, heck, you got, not that it's the teen, but like the lower digit number. Like he got AJ for 11, single digit for Smitty, of course. Jahan went back down to that. So yeah, you got multiple. G-Fish says Darius Cooper wore 6 in college, so he should grab 9.
They're not giving out 9, unfortunately. There are a bunch of numbers that are like unofficially retired by the Eagles, and 9 hasn't been worn by anybody since.
For you, isn't it? I think that we've had this conversation before.
Listen, this is going to raise my blood pressure.
But, yeah,
I'm not a fan of. I honestly, I don't like this. Might be a hot take. I don't like jersey, like retiring jersey numbers in general. I feel like every team should just have a ring of honor where you just have that in the stadium, and you can have a little shrine for the player. They can get their day where they're a captain for the game, and then put in the shrine, like something like that. But just especially now with basically any player able to wear basically any number, I feel like retiring numbers gets a little messy. And with the Eagles, they're holding 91 for Fletcher Cox. They're holding 62 for Jason Kelce. They're holding 55 for Brandon Graham. Mm-hmm. They're holding this number for LaShawn McCoy, this number for Nick Foles, this number for, like, just on top of the ones that are actually retired. It just becomes entirely too much.
It's definitely a fair point. Because you're right. Because at some point, it's like, what do you do? And then which ones do you play favorites on and say, well, you can't have that one, but okay, we'll go ahead and release this number. You can have that, and then see, that's why all of a sudden we start having receivers that have to stay at 41 or cornerbacks that have to stay at 49, and then we have to just learn to enjoy it. We have to learn to appreciate it.
Yeah, the 2040 Eagles are going to be wearing some ugly numbers when 6 is retired and 11 is retired and 1 is retired, and it's just
it's like, hey, sorry, Jalen Hurts, it can't be, as soon as he's done, 1 is gone. Like, you just forget about that. Yeah, I'm with you there. Tone, by the way, I missed Tones, but I get to it. The 5, appreciate that. Heading to Philly from Spokane for a game with brother. Need a good tailgate to attend, and asking the Philly fam. So several people have already given some tips, but anything else there? 4th and John tailgate was pretty good. What was
Dylan Philaticus on
yes,
Twitter?
I was going to say Philaticus, but I know that was his name, so
yeah.
I know it by the Twitter name. Dylan, thank you. Yes, okay.
Yes.
That one, I wish that I know we were kind of busy and like moving around different areas. I was really hoping to try something, anything, quite honestly. But yeah, if you don't, as Anthony said, Phil Atticus on Twitter, the menu that gets shared usually beforehand is
the fact that you're saying the menu regarding a tailgate.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that should tell you everything.
The guy, he's like smoked duck and made steaks and all, like anything you could think of. This guy has done it in a parking lot, and it's insane. So I mean, I would definitely recommend checking that out if you can. It's open to anybody. I don't think he charges anything. There are some tailgates where they have they'll charge you a little fee or something like that, but his just open to everybody, just good vibes. And I haven't personally been able to actually try his food yet, but from what I've seen and heard, it's one of the top tailgates in Philly.
Yep. Yep. I would echo the exact same thing. Like I say, that was one where it was like a stop, say hi, and then kind of just like stare for a while in amazement of what was being cooked and everything
And
going
then
on.
sadly walk away.
And
'cause you
then,
could-
yeah, be like, okay, we got to go now. Like, very disappointed to not get to check it out. So maybe next time. But yes, as far as a recommendation, go check that out. Let's see. 2 other super chats I think came in as well. Private Jet with a 5. Appreciate that. So with Jihad starting, how do you guys envision how the defense will look like when Nakobe gets back in terms of who starts alongside Bond?
To
Love
me,
these
that's just
difficult hypotheticals. Love it.
yeah. And once again, that's just another kind of first world champagne problem where it's like, oh, we have too many really good linebackers. How are we going to ever figure out where to play them? Right? It's just like, to me, especially if whoever they figure out the other outside cornerback is struggling by that point, maybe we could see more base defense where they just use Cooper DeJean as the second outside corner, no slot corner, and a third linebacker, which you could bring in a Nakobe Dean to be that guy, and you can kind of move them around because like we've mentioned a million times, the athleticism and versatility that both Jihad Campbell and Zach Bond provide just make them like these chess pieces where you can have them in that overhang position as like the edge defender, or you can play them in coverage or have them blitz. Like they can literally do it all. So it would just be a great problem to have whenever Nakobe Dean is healthy. So that is one thing where I'm interested to see how they go about it because Nakobe Dean is obviously coming off a major injury, but he is still in a contract year. He's going to want to play. He is regarded as one of kind of the leaders of the defense. So it's going to be an interesting balance for them to find, but I really don't think it's a big problem in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it's as you said, it's a good problem to have. It's the luxury. They'll figure it out. Fangio will figure it out of best way to use them. But I mean, big fan of the Kobe Dean. Proved me wrong last year. Was very happy to admit that. It's just if push comes to shove, and it's a total hypothetical. So thank you very much, Private Jet, for this difficult, impossible question. But it's Jihad Campbell. Unless he's just struggling or not picking up or something, like the versatility, the athleticism, what you can do with him, the difference between that and a Kobe Dean, I feel like it's a fairly easy question if you can only choose one of them to be on the field at the same time as Bond. But yeah, like Anthony said, I'm in agreement there. So we'll take that problem. If that is our worst problem on defense, then we're doing good. Eagle Centric with 5. Thanks for that. Follow both of you guys. Inspired me to create my own show, but record prediction, fellas. I need them. LOL. Go Birds.
Oh.
Well, first off, thank you for that. That means a lot. We appreciate it. Best of luck to you. Be yourself. Be authentic. I'm sure you're doing great. And as far as record predictions, I feel like we've had a couple of these. 13-4. Is that too many wins? 13-4.
I think I went, what was it, 11-6 last time we had
so.
this
I'm pretty sure
this
has it
conversation,
changed?
and I think that was one of my first articles for the PhillySpecialShow.com. Was a game by game kind of record prediction. So you can go back and watch that, but I don't think I'm going to change it. I just think I feel like the 11-6 was kind of I was accounting for some injuries happening and things like that, and Landon Dickerson obviously is already banged up, although it does seem like he's going to play week 1, so that's a positive sign. But I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Other guys are going to go down, miss some games here and there. So I think 11-6, given the tougher schedule, which they could still win the NFC East, I think, with an 11-6 record. It's just they might not be the top seed or the second seed in the conference. So we'll see what happens. But I think 11-6 is it's a conservative kind of prediction, but I feel comfortable going with that.
It's incredibly conservative when we're looking at most of the people in the comments here. We got 15-2, 14-3, barely some 13-4s. There's a Fanny's 12-5, so that's closer. That's splitting difference there. I'm gonna still say 13-4, although I did have somebody ask me this earlier today of like record prediction and specifics for the games. So I did kind of change those in my mind, but I'm still 13-4. I just swapped. I can't recall which game specifically that I just swapped off the top of my mind now, but I did give us a loss to Detroit, and the first time I said we would beat Detroit, but coming off of Green Bay and playing against Detroit, short rest, sometimes the physicality of Dan Campbell's squads, But I hope I'm wrong. So We're still 13-4 for me.
We'll see. I mean, I'll stick 11-6 for now. I know everybody will hate me for it, but hey, it
Yes,
is what
they
it is.
do. One comment here: 11-6. You on something? That's yep. Figured you would get some of those. Remo, I appreciate that one though too. Says I refuse to jinx us with a prediction. Won't do it.
It's fair.
Perfectly fine. Unfortunately, we got a super chat, so we had to answer. We're held hostage to that question. DJ with a 2, appreciate that. I did not see a comment. If I missed it, feel free to comment back. No need to super chat, but I'll try to get that out there. I do see the super chat though. Thank you for that. Shogun with a 5 also, appreciate it. Says they keep retiring numbers. It's going to look like the Blurns ball numbers on Futurama. Half, 7/8, 9/16, and pi. LOL.
That's what they might have to do. They might have to bring some decimal points into here, and we'll get triple digits going.
That last part I understand. That totally went over me as far as Futurama and everything else. So, yeah, but I get what you're saying. Yes, they'll have to do some crazy stuff, and we don't want that. Just release the old numbers. Give somebody a couple of the other ones. We wouldn't mind that. That'd be good. All right, getting back to the roster though, because we still. We're slowly running through this. It might not happen because we got some other stuff to get into as well as the giveaways, which we're getting closer to. We'll do the ticket giveaway here in probably 10 minutes or so. Tight ends: Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, Kylan Granson. Not really a whole lot to say there. Pretty expected. They did keep a third tight end. Maybe you could argue would they only keep 2, but they kept 3. Offensive line. They kept 11. Yeah. Technically 12, if we say it by the IR. It feels like they wanted to keep even more than that. Interesting on a couple decisions, a couple moves for guys who did stay versus not. Cameron Williams being one of those.
Yeah, I feel like when I saw the announcement for what happened, I was like, this was easily the biggest curveball because in my prediction, I had them cutting both Trevor Keegan and Brett Toth because I thought just Trevor Keegan, yeah, they've been trying him all over the place on the offensive line, but not necessarily. Like he hasn't shown too much, right? I feel like, yeah, you can play everywhere, but if you're not really good at anything, what's the real value there? But then with Brett Toth, I thought because he was a vested veteran, that they would just release him, and he started on the practice squad for the Eagles before in another year, so it wouldn't kind of be an uncommon thing for them to do. So I thought that was going to happen, but obviously, like you said, they went heavier on the offensive line. I projected that Cameron Williams might be like a phantom IR designation, but obviously ended up being the one that stayed, and Miles Hinton was the one that I don't think they would put him on IR unless he was legitimately hurt because I think he's a better player than Cameron Williams and more ready to play if he had to right now. So I guess either he tweaked something in that last preseason game or during practice or something like that. But yeah, definitely interesting that they went so heavy on the offensive line, especially after trading for Fred Johnson, trading away Darian Kennard. You thought they kind of had their set maybe 9 or 10 guys, but they went a little heavier there.
Fanny's comment: Toth must be married to someone inside the organization.
Be careful what you say about that.
Careful. She could be creeping in this chat. She's on Twitter. We know that. Yeah, I was surprised a little bit. Quite honestly, at first, because I texted you this, and in full disclaimer for everybody else, I didn't get the IR report announcement or totally spaced on it or something like that. So at first I was like, what the heck? They released Miles Hinton? And then it was like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. He's on the IR. Because, yes, I was like, why on earth? No offense to Cameron Williams. But if you're going to pick between the two, I was thinking it made perfect sense to do that. But this way you keep both. We've talked about it in the past. Fran Duffy, even, I believe he was saying that Cameron Williams, if you looked at him as more of a long-term project and said next year's draft he was going to become available, well, he's one of your very early rankings that could totally change, but he would be one of your very early rankings to be a potential first-round pick. So they see that and the potential, try to, keep him on the roster, keep him away from other teams. So it makes sense. You get both guys there. And 11 offensive linemen. I don't disagree with really any of the moves except for Toth, and that is one that a lot of people have similar feelings for. But he's done enough. He's a favorite. He's there for a reason. He sticks around for a reason, and that's the decision that they made. So it ended up getting Charlie Hewlett kicked off. Maybe. I'm totally speculating here, but
Well,
We'll see.
just one point like regarding Brett Toth that I did consider after seeing that he did make it, because the Eagles are going to put in a couple waiver claims, right? I mean, they are 32nd and like they're dead last because they won a Super Bowl. So chances are maybe nobody they put in the claim for actually falls to them. But if somebody does fall to them, that player has to be signed to their 53-man roster, right? So in that situation, Brett Toth feels like a guy that they could just release. They wouldn't have to subject him to waivers, and they can just sign him on the practice squad after that. So it's almost like a placeholder for now, in a sense. And then if any of their waiver claims do go through, then they can kind of just swap him out because they did go so heavy on the offensive line. Now they would only have 10. He would go to the practice squad, and that player that they do claim, whether they're offensive line or wherever, would just join the 53-man roster. So maybe that's kind of played into it. And this way they didn't have to waive a Trevor Keegan or a Cameron Williams who would be subject to waivers. But I mean, I guess we'll see.
That is actually a really good point that you bring up there. And that kind of answers one of James's questions. He was saying, who do you think has the shortest leash in terms of, if they were to make a move like that? I mean, looking at the roster, it feels like he's one of the guys. Like, I don't know. And very brief, roughly, just quick, but like maybe Brett Toth. Is it Okoronkwo? Because that was a little bit surprising as an edge. How many are they going to keep? Obviously, they did keep him there. One of those two, if they were to claim somebody and look at releasing one of the other guys?
Yeah, I would just say any of those kind of end of the depth chart vested veteran guys like AJ Dillon or Kylan Granson or the two that you mentioned. I feel like any of those guys, depending on who they claim, maybe if it's like an offensive player or a defensive player, like that weighs into it. If they want to release an offensive player, they'll cut AJ Dillon or Brett Toth, and if they want a defensive player, they'll cut Obak Bronco or something like that. So they're in a good position either way. I don't know if any waiver claims are going to go through, like I said, because of how far they are down the waiver wire, but obviously we'll find out tomorrow.
There we go. Got some more moves in the works, and we'll know officially. John with the 5. This is actually a good comment here. He says, Anthony needs to say there's a 0.0% chance that we go undefeated.
There is a 0.0 chance that the Philadelphia Eagles will go undefeated this season.
Perfect. It's been said. Clip it.
Clip it.
Share it. Save it. Keep it around.
I do have to tweet it though, right? I have to tweet it for it to be really official.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. So that then the freezing cold takes can get a hold of that one whenever something happens. So at least it's out there. It's been put out into the ether. So there's a chance. There is a possibility. The 5 from I think JL Eagles says for cornerback 2, if Adoree can't pick up the slack and or the other backups, what would, I think that's a very interesting way to spell Fangio. I think that's Fangio, Vangeo, Fangio do, and would Howie look for another cornerback?
Well, that's what kind of the trade deadline is for, right? Like if you have any problems during the regular season, then you can kind of address them there. Howie Roseman's done it before where things haven't worked out. The Kevin Byard trade obviously didn't go as many planned, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Going back to kind of the Nakobe Dean situation when he's healthy, like how does he play? Where does he play? When does he return? I think he would be a player to kind of watch at the trade deadline where if they kind of want to do better by him and trade him somewhere where he can have an opportunity to start and play the second half of the season before hitting free agency, maybe they would do that. Maybe like a Nakobe Dean for a cornerback swap, a player for player, or maybe some other picks involved in that as well. Something like that could happen, I would think. But they have just so many different options that they can kind of throw at that second cornerback spot right now that I'm interested to see how it goes. But like I said, I think Adoree Jackson is a solid corner, and I don't think they're going to hit the panic button too early.
Got to be a little patient. As you mentioned in one of your articles, again, if you want to check it out, thephillyspecialshow.com, and some interesting parallels, perspective on how guys look versus the, recency bias. It's just interesting because when you don't have good linebacker play and then all of a sudden you do, it's amazing how quickly you're like, oh yeah, like we should definitely have some really strong linebacker play, which is fair. But the same thing for the corner spot. So when you got a guy who is technically up at the same level of James Bradbury when he was signed, and that was the case that you're making there, just between the comparisons, it changes quickly because you got an all-pro caliber in Quinton Mitchell, you got an all-pro caliber, at least potential for both of those in Cooper DeJean. So sure, Adoree Jackson is one of those that's like, man, that's trash. Like why should he even be starting anything like that? He could be very serviceable. Like going into it, just sheer numbers, it's a very, very similar instance for James Bradbury. And I remember whenever you shared me those, I was like, huh, okay, that changes my thought a little bit on how I'm viewing this thing.
Yeah, but there were some other people that didn't like that comparison and immediately thought of James Bradbury's second year in Philadelphia,
That's
right? And how
yes,
that went.
yes.
So, I
But we
mean,
just need
they're
1 year. That's all.
yeah,
That's all we need. Just 1 year, and he can walk, and we'll be fine.
their most recent memory of James Bradbury was not as good as that first season in Philadelphia. So, Adoree Jackson will hopefully be closer to that first season for James Bradbury compared to the second season. But like I said, even if it's somewhere in the middle between those two, I think it would be just fine.
Yeah, plenty of talent in other places. But understand, we could agree to disagree. I see some people in the comment section, as I knew would happen, and we could, it's understandable if that's not the belief, and it still could be Jacorian Bennett. We've mentioned him also. Elbert with a 5-bomb, appreciate that. I would have kept Patrick Johnson over Obo for special teams. What say you? And then also he's going with 13 wins, agreeing with me for the Birds. So 13 wins. I agree with you on that side. That's a like between the two. I was kind of surprised that Obo got kept or is kept currently. Special teams, I felt like maybe Patrick Johnson is one of those that does stay over Obo for that very reason, but maybe is it the pass rush ability? Is it I'm not sure. That one's interesting to me.
Yeah, the one thing that I think it was Fran Duffy pointed out on the PHLY show was that he thinks maybe Obo Okoronkwo got the nod over Patrick Johnson because of Joshua Uche, as he was dealing with an injury last we saw in practice. Maybe if he's forced to miss either week one or whatever it is, they feel more confident in Okoronkwo, what he could actually do on defense compared to what Patrick Johnson can provide on special teams. Because obviously, Patrick Johnson seems like, as far as a depth player, you want them to pretty much focus on special teams, right? And they're only going to play on defense, worst case scenario, if all these other guys get banged up. So Patrick Johnson would seem normally like the better fit for that role. But because of the injury to Joshua Uche, maybe that played a factor this time around, because it seemed like, from what Howie Roseman said at his press conference, he does seem interested in kind of bringing back Patrick Johnson either on the practice squad or maybe later down the line on the active roster. So we'll see what happens there. And he was claimed last year by the Giants, but now he's a vested veteran. He's not subject to waivers, so they can just sign him back to the practice squad and kind of keep things moving that way.
We're not done, as we've said a number of times. There's plenty of moves to come, so we'll see. But yes, it was one of those that was interesting, to say the least. So keep an eye out for Uche, other potential injuries, things like that. They'll probably have more updates later in the week or even early next week, with the game being on Thursday and earlier week game, not a Sunday. But we'll have recap or previews, everything leading up to it. Defensively, because we've talked about all the offense now. We've touched on a little bit of the defense, but edge, talking about Obo there, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Josh Uche, Azeez Ojulari. Those four, not really a surprise. And then Obo there was the only one. I'm expecting, we've talked about this a number of times, but I'm expecting some good things from the edge group. There's a few that have mentioned, like, maybe there's a trade coming. Ed Cracks, shout out to him. He did have an article recently saying he's hearing names. Now, to what extent does that mean? You could just be hearing names of like, well, there's possibilities there. It's a inquire about a price. It's other teams looking to see what they could potentially, who knows? But throwing out Trayvon Walker as a name takes a lot to get that type of a guy, or a Jalen Phillips in Miami. There's some recent targets, or shouldn't say targets, recent names thrown out there as potentials. I just don't know. Like, the idea of having extra depth and be like, hey, we got Trayvon Walker, sure. Like, that's fun, that's exciting, that's dominant, everything. But I just don't know if you really want to sign, and we could disagree with this, people in the chat. Anthony, you can let me know too. But I just don't know with Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt, I'm wanting to sign anybody who's taking away those starting reps from them.
Yeah, I mean, we've been on the same kind of wavelength this entire time, where we're a lot higher on Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt as like the starting duo than basically a lot of other people are. It seems like we've kind of maintained this stance all along, even when Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson or even Micah Parsons, like all these different rumors and names were floated out there. It just seems like these guys have that Pro Bowl ceiling, or maybe even All Pro. I don't want to get too crazy, but they have that potential, and they've showed it obviously in the postseason run, where both of them played probably the best football of their young careers so far. So just kind of, like you said, pushing those guys to the side, and now Jalix Hunt is your third rusher, and maybe Nolan Smith's playing a little bit less, rotating with other guys. I just want to see what these guys have because I do think they have very high ceilings. So you might as well see it now and then build on it because they are on their rookie contracts. They have several years remaining. Like the Eagles are in a really good position moving forward, and I just want to see what those guys can provide.
100%. Good. I felt like that was the case, but I wanted to make sure we're in lockstep on that side. If you get somebody else, for depth, maybe, and they feel like they need it, sure, but you got to keep them. Interior defensive line, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, not a surprise. Ty Robinson, he kind of had an up and down camp, but not a surprise that he was going to be there. That was not really ever a question. My guy Gabe Hall, he did it. He made the roster.
Big
We
day for
made
you,
it
Josh.
happen. Let's go.
Congratulations.
Come on. That was exciting. I was probably one of the most exciting. There may have been a few out there, but that was probably one of the most exciting underscored staying on the roster. And Byron Young, I felt like it would be one of the two, and I was leaning towards more just stock wise and how he played recently in Gabe Hall. So kudos to Byron Young for also making it. But the fact that you got 6 interior defensive linemen, Fangio knowing what he wants there, it's a big move.
Yeah, the Eagles, Howie Roseman loves the trenches, but usually initial kind of roster cuts, they don't go this heavy on the interior defensive line and the offensive line. But obviously that changed this year for some reason. Who knows? But I actually did have them keeping all 6 of these guys on my projection. A lot of other stuff was wrong in my projection because of the trades or Charlie Hewitt being released or obviously the Miles Hinton being placed on IR, some things you can't see. But I did think that both Gabe Hall and Byron Young kind of showed enough, both at practice, it seemed like, according to reports, and then in the preseason games themselves. Because a couple days ago, maybe like a week or two ago, I said that I viewed Gabe Hall as a lock, and people were like, he's a lock already? How? And sure enough, it seems like he obviously was because him and Byron Young both made it. And Byron Young's kind of a cool story, right? Because they claimed him basically at this time a year ago, didn't really play at all, was hurt, battling injuries, things like that, but he was healthy. Even to start training camp, he was a little bit banged up, but he was able to play in those last 2 preseason games. I felt like he really popped off like the tape when you watched it, the All-22, seeing what he can do, and now he made the team. So Clint Hurts unit, that room is in a really good shape moving forward.
Love that. Should be dominant. Love to see it. Yes, Vanilla Gorilla made it. People asking. Ty Robinson, he's there. You see him. He's on the roster. Might not get as many snaps as maybe anticipated when he was drafted, but he should get some rotation. I think as the season goes along, and maybe this is the case for some rookies, some start out strong, and then you have the rookie wall. Others, that it's like you kind of forget about it a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, he was a rookie and didn't really get a whole lot of snaps, and then all of a sudden later in the season, you're like, whoa, forgot about this. All right, maybe we're seeing something now. So it kind of feels like if we're going to see Ty Robinson, it'd be more asserting his dominance or making some bigger plays later in the season, and that's not a bad thing because you got the depth and the rotation there.
Yeah, maybe he'll be this year's version of Jalen Hunt, right? Where didn't really do much for the first half of the season, basically. Then either injuries happened or they just wanted to add a little bit more to the rotation. Kind of started trickling in the lineup a little bit more, playing a bit more snaps. So Ty Robinson, I feel like you said, he showed flashes during preseason when wasn't necessarily as consistent or as explosive as we thought he was because of obviously the hype around the nickname and things like that, and the tape that he did provide that last year in college. But I mean, these guys are still rookies at the end of the day, so it's going to take time for them to kind of find their roles, find their niche in the Eagles scheme. But like I said, that interior defensive line is pretty scary.
There we go. Got the super chat here from David, by the way. Appreciate that with 5. Says, sorry, joining late after work. Have not heard much about how they would use fullback now, or now that they are one of the few with one on the roster. Great show as always. Thank you, David. I don't think there's any specifics too much of how they're going to use the fullback, and we've seen it sparingly in the past before Ben got hurt last year in, I think, was it the Giants game and the Bucks game, if I'm not mistaken. But, I mean, I think it should be better than last season because they've been planning on it for a whole lot longer. They officially moved him to that role. I am curious to see, though, like how quickly we see it, asserted like, oh, okay, you got a fullback, right? Because you're going to use it. They added Kari Blasingame last year, and that was immediately my thought too. Is like, oh, hey, we're going to really start. And they hardly used him, which is fine to have it, but I don't know. Should be more than last year.
Yeah, it seemed like it was almost like a tease, right? There was like just wanted to make teams think they were going to use a fullback, like before than they actually did. But
yeah,
I still don't know what Ben Vincerman's going to be as far as his role as a fullback. It's not like the Eagles are going to go out there and play a whole drive and I formation and just like have him in the game the whole time. It's just going to be maybe like 5 snaps at most in a game. And I feel like that's about it, right? It's not going to be some drastic package where he's a big part of the offense. It's just like when they want to use him, when they want to kind of throw out a different look, then they'll have him out there. But other than that, I don't think it's going to be anything drastic.
Yeah, I agree. Avery Williams was waived. I think some people were asking about that. Avery Williams did not do too much at all. Be interesting to see who the kick returner options are and who that ends up going to. As far as we've kind of touched on the linebackers a decent amount, cornerback, somewhat. I mean, again, Jacorian Bennett, Kelee, Ringo, Macman, Williams. The other three were kind of a given. Kelee, Ringo, good special teams. Do they try to? Some people speculating like trade-wise or other moves there, or add another corner, right? Because it's a lot of people saying not done. We mentioned Julius Brents. I don't know that he makes it in terms of the waiver wire, but I guess you never know.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few corners that were released today as far as final cuts go that are being subject to waivers. So some of them just as simply the numbers game are probably going to make it down to the Eagles at 32. So we'll see who they put in a waiver for, because usually it'll come out that like, oh, the Eagles did put in a waiver claim, but they didn't get him, obviously. And that actually happened with Sam Womack, a corner from the Colts who was waived today. So they put in a claim for him last year, didn't get him. So now we'll see if he falls to the Eagles this time, if they do the same thing, if they are still interested in him. But even a guy like Damari Mathis, who you've covered in a previous video, the corner from the Broncos, another guy, had experience with Christian Barker for 2 years in Denver, has some starting experience as well. Could he be an option if he falls on waivers? So there's going to be some options out there. It's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles do at corner, because like you said, Kelee Ringo has kind of just done the exact opposite of what everybody wanted to see or expected to see, where he was viewed as probably the likely starter at that cornerback too, and now he's the third string corner and might not even be active, or he'll just be a special teams player. Like, it's a tough break for him, a tough break for the team as a whole, but there's still hope.
Not completely giving up. Safety, Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Tristan McCollum, Drew Makuba. Again, not really a big surprise. You kind of had a question. Maybe it's Andre Sam, Tristan McCollum. They do go with Tristan McCollum. Fangio's mentioned his name multiple times, well early in training camp, even into preseason. So that's the direction that they go. Special teams-wise, though, and this is a question from multiple people, understandably so, is who do they go with for the punt returner? And I guess, or kick returner. But the punt returner, because Anaya Smith is gone, is it, I don't think we want it necessarily, but is it Cooper DeJean? Is he going to keep his punt returner duties, or is there somebody else that they put back there?
I don't think, I mean, Vic Fangio made it pretty clear last season that he didn't want Cooper DeJean out there, but they basically had to do it out of necessity. But that's another thing I think they could add on the practice squad, or even a waiver claim for some of the players that were released. There are some guys with return experience that are a little intriguing, but I think Jahan Dotson would be my pick right now as far as the current roster. I think it's something that he did at Penn State at a pretty high level, and I feel like it would be a good way. I know he's technically a starter. You don't really want to expose your starters to that kind of situation, but he is their third receiver. They did add John Mechie and the emergence of Darius Cooper, so I don't know if they would feel as bad kind of exposing him to those extra hits, but at the same time, it also gives him a chance to have the ball in his hands, because we know it's a team that he's not going to get targeted a ton, right? So kind of give him the chance to, he has that explosiveness and that ability to make moves with the ball in his hands. So I think kind of get him out there on punt return unit. It's something that he's done in college, and I would like to see him do it. He was in practice working with the punt returners, so now he seems like one of the only options with experience there. So I think Dotson would be the guy to look for there.
Okay, that's interesting. I'd be looking. I wouldn't mind. Gary's saying don't be surprised if it's DeJean, and that's also, yeah. I mean, he plays every position, so I guess I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, oh, he's back there. Remo saying Covey is coming back. Britton Covey did get waived. I'm not sure that he's necessarily coming back, but there's always a chance. They do like Britton Covey. Maybe they try to figure something out there. Other questions, though, of who is Howie looking at. And by the way, I'm going to do the giveaway here in a second, but I wanted to cover some of these other topics to make sure that we hit on them. So Anthony has something in the works that'll share more in granular detail, in much more full effect, I suppose. But to briefly touch on this, and I can try to center this thing for people, a couple targets that you mentioned, and there's a lot more, but just a couple targets from the initial tweet from 4 hours ago. is and you said also you'd be joining the live stream. We're going to discuss potential waiver wire targets. You don't have to run through all of them, but maybe 3 or 4 guys highlights to keep an eye out for that maybe worth mentioning.
Yeah, so as Josh mentioned, he didn't want to, I guess, say what it was, but I am going to be releasing an article with 20 waiver wire targets for the Eagles. I know
I
that
didn't
might be
want
a
to
little
hold you to a
excessive,
specific names or a number,
but
but yes,
I've got
it's
20
20.
players locked in, so I'll have like a paragraph or so on each player, why they would fit, whatever. Who knows if it'll happen, but I like throwing names out there, seeing what sticks. But I see people in the chat, and you mentioned it already, Britton Covey. I don't think he would be claimed by the Eagles, but if he's healthy, I could see him going on the practice squad and being elevated alongside Charlie Hewitt in that first week as like their punt returner, and then 3 or 4 weeks into the season when he's out of elevations, maybe they sign him to the original the active roster and go from there, because obviously he'll know what Michael Clay likes to see. He's a proven punt returner when he is healthy. It's just a matter of him actually staying healthy. So he's one that actually sticks out as far as the returners go. Audric Estime, running back, where I mentioned the similarities kind of to A.J. Dillon, where he's a bigger running back. I tweeted about it, but the fact that he does have 3 years left on his rookie contract compared to just A.J. Dillon, who's older on a 1-year contract, if they can get him, I think that would be something that they would be willing to do, kind of a swap there as the third running back, as a little bit more of like a promising long-term developmental option compared to A.J. Dillon. And a name that I actually don't even have on that tweet, but I'll reveal it now. A different tight end is Josh Wiley, who was released by the Titans. He was a 5th-round pick a couple years back, 6'7", 248 pounds, so he's got great size at tight end, but he also has 2 years of control left on his rookie contract, which is notable because all of the Eagles' current tight ends, and they only have 1 year left, they're all on expiring deals. So the fact that he would kind of bring in a little bit of upside with size and that draft pedigree that Howie Roseman kind of looks for, I think if they do make an addition at tight end, along with Jelani Woods, who I have in the tweet as well, another guy that has freakish size and some upside if he can stay healthy, I think tight end is like kind of an underrated spot for them to look for help there.
See, that's another reason. People should be already, but at Debona NFL, 20 guys, 20. Someone said a second ago, they're like, man, that's dang good coverage. 20 potential targets for the Eagles to potentially
this
look
is the
at
note
there.
on my phone. I'm not gonna. There you go.
It's
it's a little much. You probably
oh my
probably
gosh.
screenshot it at that point. I don't know if you could see it or not, but
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, I don't know. It's incredibly impressive. We'll just say that, and it was that way back during the draft, of course, because like that's whenever it really gets crazy. He's like, oh, here's all the visits and the potential or the meetings, but not the qualified visits and everything else. So, yes, Tony, 100% agree with you. Anthony is the best, bro. That is,
I appreciate that.
no doubt.
Trying.
You're the man. We appreciate you. On that topic, we should probably do these giveaways because people have been waiting on them for a while, and I wanted to touch on everything else. If I can get this thing ready, I think I can. Should we start with the? I'm trying to think. Should we do the tickets first, or should we do the Zach Bond sign card?
I think the Zach Bond one first, right? It's a little bit lower,
Right.
a lot of a smaller in comparison to the tickets. I think save the tickets for last.
That's fair. Yep, that's fair. We could do that. All right. Max says, yeah, Ant is locked in. That he is. Calling these moves before they happen. It's ridiculous. All right. Let's see. I think I could get this on the screen well enough.
There it is again.
There it is.
Unfortunately, it's a Saints uniform, but it is a rookie card, so that's why he's in a Saints uniform.
Ah, okay. All right. Making sure I got the right one again. Yes, I do. Okay. And here we go. Good luck to everybody. This is the Zach Bond card. And who will it be? They don't have to be present. This is one of those where they don't have to. It is. All they had to do was comment Bond, by the way. So that was easy for that one. It is Lights Out 0829. Lights Out 0829 with the Bond. Just plain and simple. Some people said something specific about Bond, but lots of those just went with the Bond. That's all you had to do. So Lights Out 0829 if you're on the stream. Let us know. Comment. Say, I'm here. What's up? Claim it. If not, you will have a week to claim. Then we'll give it away to somebody else. If you do not, Jay, I appreciate the comment of rigged. Of course it is, because you did not win it. But yes, Lights Out. You got it. DM me, email the Philly Special Show at gmail.com. One of the socials, hit me up, something, anything, and congratulations again. So you got it. There's always, yes, always the rigged comments. I appreciate those. But that was the Zach Bond signed card. Hit me up. Anthony will be shipping it out to you. This next one, though, is for the tickets. Any Eagles game tickets of your choice. And while I get that ready real quick, I'm just checking something because the chat is saying to check Kay Adams' tweet as if there's something going on here. Is there really?
She just said, "You guys," period. I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody's saying Micah Parsons is going to be a Packer. Why would he be? What does that mean?
I saw somebody, I forget the account. It's the guy that claims to be an insider, but it's like a dog or something like that on Twitter. He's got some random stuff right before.
Oh, yeah.
But he said something about Micah Parsons. The Packers have a trade offer on the table for Micah Parsons, and they would give him a $45 million per year on a new contract or something like that.
Holy.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if he'll actually be traded, but I guess people are now trying to,
It is.
that
Yep.
time of the year, so people are trying to put things together and see what they can guess or whatever. So
It's starting to feel like he might not be there for week one, for the Cowboys at least. But okay, well, yeah, there's nothing at all that you could tell from that tweet. So I mean, otherwise I would put it on the screen, but it's literally like, you guys, that's it. So I guess you never know. But yes, for this one on the tickets, you just comment on that last video. There's a pinned comment here too. If you're on the live stream, you're like, okay, what was that? But just click on that video, comment real quick. You had to just enter any sort of comment, and you're good to go. But this one is available to all subscribers. Remember, we got the member giveaways, the member-only giveaways during the regular season, starting in September. So we'll have tickets there and everything else. But let me do these 2 super chats as I'm getting that set up. I don't know why this thing just moved on me again, but 1 second. There we go. Super chat from it's Tay Gaming with a 5. Appreciate it. Says, I'm just ready to drop that banner on them Cowgirls and put BTA. I don't know what the BTA part is, but we agree with that.
you don't? You know what that means?
I know it.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say. Come on, Josh.
I know what that means.
Man. You're making us
I know what that
32-year-old
means.
guys look bad.
Come on. All right. Yes, I know. There are other things that go over my head, like the Futurama stuff that was earlier. So I have no clue what that was.
Yeah, I didn't get that one either.
I understood the part about the fraction numbers, but yeah, that missed me. Real Rich with a 2. Also, Trayvon Walker move. I bet it's been asked. We talked about it a little bit, but yeah. Hey, by the way, I don't know why people are commenting tickets. You have to go to the pinned comment that I have there, and you yeah. I mean, I appreciate the comments, I guess, on this stream. It's not gonna work. If you say that your coffee maker's in pieces like Remo, maybe that does, because apparently that sometimes helps you with a spinner. But yeah, Trayvon Walker, it's total speculation. Nothing. I mean, it was Ed Crack saying the name that he's hearing is Trayvon Walker, but I didn't see anything else otherwise. So yeah, we'll see. Gary, man, Josh had me wondering for a minute about the BTA. I got you. I know what that is. There's other things that definitely do go over my head. I got that one. Okay. I say we'll do the tickets here because we got a lot of people that are commenting tickets on this stream, and that's not helping you at all. Again, I appreciate the comments. That's just not doing anything for you. So here it is, tickets. I'll share the screen. Good luck, everybody. Who's it going to be? Who's the winner? You have a week to claim them, but hopefully you're on the stream. Good vibes. Here we go. 2 Eagles tickets. Any game of your choice. Come on. Big money. Please, somebody on the stream. Louis Vuitton, I think. 6181. Says, help me take my daughter to her first Birds game. Go Birds. Well, let's go.
Appreciate that. I like a good father when and taking his kid to the first game. That's nice.
That's big time. Heck yeah. And I assume it's Louis and not Lewis. I mean, it's I just said it like that. It could be, I suppose. But yes, you got it. Comment if you're on the stream. Again, as I always say, please let us know. If not, you got a chance to claim them. I will share it in the upcoming video too, so you got a chance. But congratulations, that'll be fun, and you'll get to choose. I mean, I'm assuming again, like you pick the Cowboys game, but if not, you can pick any one that you want. Go to that game. Lots of people wishing congratulations, saying congrats, everything else. A few rigged, as we usually get, but yeah.
I love it.
Oh no, Caleb says my app restrictions won't let me comment on videos, only live streams. That's kind of unfortunate. Yes, Frank, unfortunately, I guess the spinner is not a fan. One of these days, one of these days, we might make it happen. Tells views he's a bot, Josh. How quickly those comments come in as well. No, I've seen multiple comments from that. I would remember because I was like, oh yeah, like the Louis Vuitton. I don't even know if that's how you would say it, but yeah, it's legit. I've seen multiple comments in the past, which is why I was wondering maybe they'd be on the live stream, but I'm not seeing any comments here. So again, he'll have a week. I'll share it on the video, and there you go. Congratulations to those people there. We got a lot more in the works too, so the first of many. Should also say too, thank you to SeatGeek, because if people have not heard this, I mentioned it on one of the other videos, but courtesy of SeatGeek, every time the Eagles win, so you probably don't want Anthony's predictions. You'd probably prefer the 13 wins, but every time that the Eagles win, SeatGeek will be sponsoring a giveaway for 2 tickets. 2 tickets to any Eagles regular season game the rest of the season. So, I mean, if we go undefeated, that's a lot. It's a lot of tickets there. Make this thing happen. Hopefully it's not 11, though, because then we've only got, 22? Because it'd be 2 tickets for each game. Still not too bad, but,
Eagles fans are getting a little spoiled. They're upset about being projected to have 5 games over 500. It's like, come on.
Oh, come on. It's got to be it's got to be 13, 14 wins. Maybe even more, but yeah. I'll
be the bad guy. It's all right.
It's a matter of perspective again. We get spoiled for how good it's been. Dex, how do you become a member? There should be a link down in the description. Sometimes it's weird if you're on the phone. It doesn't usually pop up as easily, but if you go down to the description and click on that, it should say become a member and get that. So you're welcome to join that way. All right. I think we hit on pretty much everything. Was there anything else topics wise? Other targets that that Howie's searching for that you've not revealed to us we should keep an eye out for?
No, like I said, I'll have the article. I might even have it out late tonight if anybody's up around 11, 12, who knows, but definitely be up by the morning. I'll have that article with 20 waiver wire targets for the Eagles. I'll go a little bit, not too far in depth on each one, but a little bit of background information on each one, why they make sense for the Eagles. So yeah, we already named probably like 6 or 7 guys that are going to be on that list, so I don't want to really give away too many more, but I mean, I feel like we hit on pretty much everything else by this point, right? We went through even the potential jersey number changes, so I don't know. It's kind of crazy that the regular season is right here now, though. It's going to be fun.
It is. It's crazy. Right around the corner. JC, member for 1 year, says, let's freaking go 1 year in the books. Starting up the 2nd year. Perfect timing, too. George, welcome to Let's Run It tier. The membership there gets you access to the giveaways. Gary, that's a great question, actually. I'm glad you reminded me. Are we doing first score contest this year? We are. So in the game previews, a lot of people know this, but if you have not, Anthony and I usually will go over the upcoming opponent, and we predict our first touchdown score. We had was it 4? It was 4 weeks in a row, I think, that we nailed it. Okay, so that's our record. We're going to try to do it more than that, but you can get in on the giveaways as well. Now, that one will be courtesy of Underdog, so feel free to scan the QR code, use code Philly Special. But Underdog is going to allow us to do that every game. So if you pick the correct first touchdown score, now it could be either team, so I totally get it if you don't want to pick the other team. Anthony was successful doing that a couple times.
I think both of my wins were.
I was going to say, I think they were both.
I think it was Mark Andrews and Kyron Williams, I believe.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Did you pick Brian? Well, maybe later in the season, not the 4-game stretch, but I think you picked Brian Robinson on one of those 2, and it was correct.
I think I did.
So maybe even 3.
See, I'm
But
just a bad guy. 11,
well,
projecting
but
11
you
and
hit
6,
you hit
picking
the
nothing but opponents. This is
well. To be fair, you could be anyone and take the opposing offense because the Eagles didn't score a touchdown till what week was it again? Like it was
That's
never
fair.
happening.
That's fair.
So,
Yes.
but I should clarify. You would have to take the way this giveaway works. We'll share more details in the videos and everything else. But you have to pick the first touchdown score, and the Eagles have to win. But if the Eagles win, you pick the first touchdown score correctly, then I spin for the winner at the end of the live stream. So just another reason to come hang out, chill during the live stream, cheer on some picks, and get the dub. So it's a good time.
Oh, I just saw a comment. This is a good thing that we didn't touch on.
Okay.
My guy Antwaun Powell Ryland was let go by the team. I don't think we talked about him
We
at
did
all.
not. Yeah, we kind of
So-
glossed over the edge rushers. That's right.
I actually had him making the final roster as the 5th guy because I thought they were going to put Patrick Johnson to the practice squad because he's a vested veteran. I didn't think there was any chance that Obo Akaronko was going to make it. I just thought he was the older of those 3 guys, and they were kind of all lumped together. I thought he had like the least upside out of those. Clearly, probably the best player right now, but I thought the Eagles usually like to keep that spot for developmental guys. But on the flip side, what I didn't factor in is that their starters are kind of their developmental guys, right? Because Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt are so young, even though they are the starters, they're the guys with those higher ceilings. So maybe that's something that I should have factored in that I didn't. But yeah, Antwaun Powell Ryland, I don't think he showed enough especially because he was picked so late in the draft to be claimed by another team. So I think they should be able to kind of get him back on the practice squad and keep him there. But he was obviously a super productive player in college, but a little bit of an older prospect, not the biggest guy on the edge. So maybe that plays into why he might sneak through waivers. But you never know. These things are so hard to predict.
We're not going to hit them all, but yeah, that was one of those that, people see it on the thumbnail even for the stream here, but, it's he still has some potential. I like seeing him get the sack in the final preseason game, but only so many guys, like you say. So unfortunately, it's one of those, like Remo said, man, felt bad for APR. That's my guy as a Hokie alum. Makes me sad. But, couldn't keep them all. Decision that had to be made. Garrett with a 5 says, craving football so bad I bought Madden. Go Birds. There's crazier things.
That used to be my yearly thing, was buying Madden. But I don't know, ever since I had the kids, and when they go to sleep, I usually end up falling asleep, or I'm up late writing 20 waiver wire targets for the Eagles. I don't really have the
You're
time.
a psycho. So
I used to be. I used to play Madden hardcore, where I would go to tournaments and play online ranked matches all the time.
Yeah,
but
okay. I thought
those
I
days
played
are
it. I was
those
not
days
that
are
extreme.
well behind me at this point in my life.
It's never too late. Never too late to pick it back up. No,
Yeah, I
I
guess
shouldn't say that. Speaking of kids, I can hear mine
Uh-oh.
still. So I'm probably
that
going to
time.
jump off here in a second. But the last super chat, I believe, to make sure that I'm getting this one. It's okay. Jay Battles. Actually, I'm glad that you said that. I thought I was going crazy. I thought it was my headphones. He says, "Does it sound like anyone else? Like one of these dudes is gaining rads? Is that for like radiation? I may not get that, but I think it is. I hear like a faint clicking noise. Like,
Oh, sorry.
is that you? Is there something that is
I don't
there?
hear
or-
anything here,
Okay,
but
I don't know if it's something maybe on the recording, but I've started picking up on it now. So I don't know if. Yeah, I don't know what that
Uh-oh.
is. Is it me?
I don't hear it. It's probably me because
We'll see if anybody else in the chat. Maybe it's just us. We'll see. But Elbert here with a 5 though did say just go undefeated in the playoffs. Let's freaking go back to back. If we go there, it's going to be everybody else. So
sounds good.
Psych Motor says you guys should play each other on live. Stream that. Okay, see Gary hears it too. All right, yeah, it's Fallout. That's it. Okay. There's some sort of radiation around. Sounds like a struggling fan.
I'm
It
nervous
could
now.
also be.
Should I mute my mic and you want to see if that's me so we can verify?
Did you just mute?
No, I'm gonna mute right now.
Wait, hang on. It went away. Wait, now it's back. It's
I'll
back
mute
now.
I'll mute and you'll
Okay.
see if it's gone.
It's still there. Still hear it.
So that's got to be you then, because I was muted.
That's weird.
You have a cricket in your room or something? What's going on? I don't hear anything on my end. So
You
I
don't
know.
hear anything at all?
I don't hear anything.
Oh, wait a second. Okay. I just muted you, and now I don't hear it. But now I do hear it as I unmute you.
Okay, so
That's
it's got to be
weird.
me. I
So
don't know
there's
what I'm doing.
something, but it's like there's something with the connection because you muted yourself, and I still heard it.
It's radiation from
Okay.
Anthony's prediction.
Yeah, it sounds like an old computer. All right, well, we'll figure it out. We lasted the whole stream, and maybe I just like didn't see any comments, and it was like continual, like, "Hey, what's that noise?"
I didn't see anybody
I just saw
saying
it
anything,
until
so
now,
I don't know.
and just recognized it. But yeah, okay, sounds like a continuously rolling pencil is what Gary's saying. Okay, well, we'll work on it. It could be the stream, it could be an update. We'll figure it out. But we appreciate you guys as always. Congrats again to the winners of the giveaways. Anthony, Josh needs to invest in a better headset. But I've tried to, and then the batteries run out and everything. So wired is the way to go, I feel like. But we'll see. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, I'm hopping off now. We appreciate you guys. I could just probably keep this thing going, and I really need to get off now.
Later, everybody.
Appreciate it. You guys have a good one. As always, go Birds.